Good morning, everybody. Let's see who all we have here today. I don't have a chat box. Hopefully everybody can hear me just fine. We're trying out a different setup today, using the headphones. Whoa, look at that. That just zoomed in on the face. Hi. I don't know what hand signal I gave it there, but yeah. Audio good, love it. Thanks, Boothie. Hey, Happy. Good morning, 3D Medic Vince. 3D and T, we got Rob C. Who else is over here? The usual folks. Good to see you guys. Happy Mother's Day. Because of that, we're going to do a little bit of a shorter stream. I got about 90 minutes before the wife and I are going to go do things. So I got permission to stream today. And so here we are. Looking at kind of the RatRig, wrapping up that project. Things are built. Things are working well electronically. Having a little bit of configuration issues. And we'll see how far we get on that one. Just kind of a small thing. And then we'll press forward. So we'll go through that as we go, and hopefully we'll get a little insight on what's going on. Family first, I agree. Family first. All right, so I'll show you guys where I'm at, and then we'll get into what we're doing. So I'll take you over to the printer itself. This is where we left off, right? So you've got the two tool heads here, and things seem to be working fine. Let me demo that for you. So if we click the home all button, I immediately get like a shutdown, which tells me unable to write TMC SPI stepper Z registered global scalar. Not exactly sure what that means, but that's what we're seeing when I press the button. That was not the case yesterday. So if you could see in the top left corner there, that's the error that I'm seeing. The only change that I made, though, was the way that the cooling fans are powered. So all I did was turn off the printer, made some different connections, and then connected those part cooling fans to a different port on the board. And now this is the error that I'm getting. Not exactly sure why. So I think what I'm going to do is unplug those two fans and then try it again and see what happens. So just give me a second. We'll pull those fan power out. All right, so both fans are unplugged. I'm gonna restart the firmware. Gremlins, yeah, Rob, that's exactly what I'm seeing. Can we say it has a tube or a delube? Yeah, I don't exactly know what to call it. Tube? Tube is good. I think Happy and I are in agreement on that one. Tube. All right, so let's see if it'll home now. Nope, same deal. So legit, I haven't changed anything in the setup. So I'll take you guys over to the Chrome tab here. And so this is the error that we get. And I don't really know what that means. I know it has something to do with the stepper driver in some way, but I'm not exactly sure what. So we'll go through the config and I'll kind of talk through it. Maybe some of you in the chat are smarter than me, especially when it comes to RatOS. This is not vanilla Clipper, which makes it a little bit different to go through and identify what the actual problem is. So some of the things that are set up in here are supposed to not really be touched. One of those is RatOS and some of the other behind the scenes stuff. Any dips or jumpers wrong? No. There are no jumpers to install, and there are no dip switches on the Kraken itself. Give me 1 second. I'll double check to make sure, just to look at it, but I am not seeing that at all. Yeah, so they're connected to the PWM ports, the 4-pin fan headers on the Kraken board. And that's where they're getting power as far as the fans. And correct me, so yeah, so there's no way to set that stuff. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So this is the printer config. No real changes in here other than adding the VAOC and the filament smart filament sensors. So everything from essentially here to the filament sensor stuff is the issue. Everything above here is what we configured with the configurator. SPI speed, the speed clock in your Clipper config might be too high. So again, I didn't set anything, and I'll kind of give you some background, Dave. The printer worked yesterday just fine. It was homing. It did the beacon level and all that stuff. And to prove that, I'll show you the... Oh, wow, we don't have the... Let's see. I'll show you the height map. Oh, and now it's going to make me look like a liar because we don't have one. Anyway. Yeah, but things are connected, right? We were able to get in our printer config, we got our PID tunes done. That's what's down here. We have the beacon model. So it was working earlier. And when I say earlier, I mean yesterday. And so I was able to get a beacon scan and all that stuff. We adjusted the frame a little bit to get it as flat as we could. We're about 0.06 off from the highest point to the lowest point, which is pretty good, especially if you're printing at a 0.2 layer height. We're beating it by half. So things worked. Not exactly sure why they're not working now. Don't really know how to fix all that. But what I'm going to do is kind of copy my printer config and then save that somewhere else so that I can access it later. Just in case. All right, so I just copied that to a Notepad++. And then we can go through a configurator and maybe start from scratch. 5160s, they are 2160s, I believe. It's hard to tell because the Kraken has a huge heatsink installed on it, like glued to it. So there's no way to see. But what we can do is open our pins page here. So this is what I'm talking about. So fan 6 and 7, these two here. So 6 and 7 are where those fans were connected. I just unplugged them. I'm still getting the same error, so it's likely not a problem for the fans. And besides, I'm only using the power and the ground for them to provide 12-volt power. And then for controlling it, it's a digital pin on the toolhead board. What's up, Shrimp Father? And it's a pin on the toolhead board that is kind of turning it on and off via PWM. That's how RatRig suggests you set it up in the documentation that we were doing a couple of weeks ago. But it's still not working for me. Number one, when I go here and I go to my dashboard and I try to turn fans on, I get like I can put it up to 100, and in the dashboard the fans come on, but on the printer itself the fans do not turn on. So there's something going on with the config that is not allowing things to happen. I'm not exactly sure what that is. This other issue, the homing issue, is completely separate, and I'm not exactly sure why that's a problem right now. That just kind of popped up yesterday. So I think what I'm going to try is try homing the X. And just in case, I'll take you guys over here. DM from Clipper, which was a display connectivity. Maybe not, Boothy. I don't have a display connected. I'll take a look at what you're saying really quick. Unable to write TMC stepper. Let's see. Morning, Captain Kern. Yeah, so this is talking about the Octopus Pro and using a display. I don't have a display on it. So I'm not exactly sure what the deal is. And then I'm not exactly sure what the solution for this one is either. Here, the same problem can easily be resolved by pulling up PF5, which is CS of that. Now using it works. The other way would probably be... Ooh, excuse me, I'm sneezing here. To talk on the bus, did you find... I mean, we can try adding this in there really quick. I'm willing to try whatever we need to do. Can add this in here, and there is a max 31865 port. So if I just add this to the bottom, let's make sure that is the correct port. So this one here is the max port. Looks like the pin is, I don't know. I don't know what that pin would be. And there are 2 ports on a Kraken. Yeah, I don't know what the SPI pin would be. It doesn't really spell it out. Sorry, on the wrong page here for you guys. So as I'm looking around the different pins, I don't see maybe one of these here. Either 12 or 13, 10 or 14. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any of those being used by the 31865. Yeah, not really sure. And then even with the motors, right? So the Z motors I have connected to S5, 6, and 7. None of those pins seem to be duplicated on the SPI. Yeah, so that's where I'm stuck, guys. So while this may be helpful in some other areas, I don't know how like this kind of stuff is set up in RatOS. So I don't know that I want to put this in here. But what we can do is look inside. In here, we can look at boards, and then we can go to our Kraken. And then if I look at the config, this is how it goes, right? So our it's not really working on SPI. But you do have these here. So PC8, 7, and 6. None of those are used on your SPI. Hey, 3D Wolf. Good morning. Thanks for the link, Dave. Let me check out your link here, and we'll see if that's helpful. This is what Dave just sent over. It says, board works fine and UART, have the jumper set to the documentation. Again, it's a little bit different of a board, so it's a Manta M8P. Followed all the things. They're still getting an error on X. Let's see what the Hive Mind has to say. See the board on SPI 2, not 1, try 2. Okay, so here's what you ended up doing. Set up for sensor lists. All right, so SPI 1 turned off, and they just added. No, it's all good, 3D Wolf. Thanks for stopping by, even for just a minute, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so are we just swapping pins? So they just added different pins here. 5. Yeah, that's to switch it over to number SPI 2, it looks like. Well, that's the weird part. I didn't change any of this. So if I look at man, this is so confusing. Yeah, so there's literally only the one SPI though. It doesn't have 2 separate buses. That's the crazy part about it. I did like this though, that I could come in here and see how things are connected. This probably helped me the most. So if I look in here, I've got my motors slightly different, right? Because it is an IDEX. This is for a single. And then I don't have the extruder connected back either. So realistically, mine go left motor, right motor, both Y motors go here. Extruder is removed, and then I just slid all of the Z motors to the left, 1 port is how I have mine set up. So I wonder if it expects sort of this configuration, and mine is not set up that way, so things aren't working exactly right. But I'm not sure how that works. This would be for, I don't know, for like a, I guess a V-Core 3 maybe is what this looks like to me. So it was kind of helpful, but not really, because it doesn't tell me where the fans should go. So I don't know. I'm not running a probe or a BL Touch. I don't have an ADXL. They're Mister and whatnot. Those are connected like it says. I don't have this one here, and I don't have this heater here. I also don't have 2 power supplies, and my motors are a little different. So this was kind of helpful, but not really. It's just not another. Shows me where the boot buttons are. Fan wiring. This is where I got my information from, and then also PD3D kind of pointed me in the right direction too. Sent me some info that said I should do this. The TAC pin we're not using. The PWM pin, the blue one, is what I am using, and that's what we have connected to the toolhead board, and it's connected to a 2-pin output on the board, so that should be telling the fans what to do. It's just kind of not doing that, and I don't understand why, unless it is connected to the incorrect wire. If I look at the wiring on the toolhead board, let's see. I am connected to the blue wire from the fan. And that blue wire, from what I've read, is the signal that I want for PWM. The TAC line is not. Hot end fan, I'm not using that. Part cooling fan, I'm not using that. So this is where I kind of get stuck. Realistically, if we do want to change anything, what I would do is I would find it in one of these config areas and then copy it, paste it in my printer config, and then we can make whatever changes we want. But I don't know where that is. I come to my tool board, I know that I have a 4-pin fan. This is what mine says in my printer config, so that is correct. My Z probe, it doesn't even mention the VAOC in here. So I don't know how really to set that up. I just kind of found something else that someone else had in their config, and then we added it to this one. It still didn't work. So not exactly sure where to go. Now, these are all macros, so that should not matter. I don't know. It's only in like the boards that I can think of that I would even need to do anything. I go to my toolboard config. Our cooling fan for fan 0, sure. Yeah, not really knowing where to go, guys. So if anyone's got any ideas, I'll take it, but I really kind of at a loss. So what I'm thinking is like the only thing that we have really to do now is kind of start over a little bit. And so I've already copied down the printer config, that way I don't lose really anything. And so what I can do is I'll come back into the configurator, and then we'll go to Setup Wizard, and at least we can kind of walk through this. I know I showed it a little bit when we were first setting up electronics and whatnot. Now that we have everything done and plugged in, we should be able to just go through this and kind of figure it out. And so I've got the Kraken connected, and that is good. And so we're gonna skip that one. And then for our tool headboards, that one is good as well. So we could skip that. Same for T1. And then this is where we made some changes. And so one of the changes I had to make was this pin port here. So it needs to be digital PWM on the tool headboard. I think I had it down here on input voltage, but there is no voltage for that because it's getting the voltage from the Kraken. So we use this one here, input voltage on the hot end fan is fine, and then we just duplicate that down below for the second tool head. Things worked just fine. All that should still be the same. And then it just has you verify all the stuff. We should be good. There are changes in here that it wants to make. I think I'm going to allow that to happen. So it wants to invert all my end stops again, which I'm not a fan of, but I mean, we know that we got to swap the X for both. We got to swap the Y for both. And then all of the Z's need to be inverted as well. So basically we're changing everything. I can copy and paste over the PID tune from before. And we'll just accept these changes, confirm and save. And then when we open Mainsail again, we'll see if that changes anything and allows us to home. Because to be honest with you, the fan portion of it is a concern for sure. If that doesn't work though, we'll be okay as long as we can home. Homing is the bigger of issues. So I want to see what it deleted from the printer config. Yeah, so basically everything. It did keep PID. It did not keep it for the bed, so we'll need to do that. Or maybe I didn't finish that one. But it kept my beacon model default, so that's good. Let's go ahead and invert all the pins that we were supposed to invert from before. Just going to add the exclamation point in front of the ones that need it, and then remove it from the ones that already have that. Just like so. And this guy here. Cool. So we'll save and restart that. Let's see if this allows us to home. I'll be ready on the emergency stop button just in case. Take you over to the printer itself, and let's see if we can home X. Nothing. Yeah, so I can't even home X because Z for some reason is jacked up. I'm not exactly sure what this means. We didn't change anything. We didn't, there's nothing different. So, I'll tell you what, let's go back to the oldest config that I have, which is this guy here. And all of this checks out. Get the sensor switches, we get the beacon. There's not really a nothing different in here. We didn't change anything. Hey Steve, good morning. We're running into issues this morning trying to get the printer to move. I had it moving yesterday, and then all of a sudden today I'm getting this shutdown error for TMC SPI. First time using a Kraken, so not exactly sure where to go on how to change that. But it's weird that it worked yesterday and then came in today and now it doesn't work. So the only thing I know to do is to completely start over, maybe flash the board or something. So we've got the Kraken connected. Good morning, Lee, Marie 3D, Jeremy. So we're looking at the Kraken. Which stepper driver you're using for Z? I remember having issues if not using extruder 0 or 1. I am using stepper 5, 6, and 7 for the Z axis. So it's detected. We can flash it again automatically. Yeah, so Jeremy and Steve, you guys know how it is. Like you try to get through some of the firmware and it doesn't always work as intended. And that's what we're fighting through a little bit today. Probably play with this for another, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Let's see if we can figure it out. Otherwise, we got to get the stream moving. A little bit of a shorter day today. It is Mother's Day, so we got to get out and do things. Hopefully you guys are going out and celebrating your significant others and your moms. Yeah, Steve, so I didn't change anything. I was trying to figure out how to get the part cooling fans to work. They're PWM powered, so they are on the 4-pin headers on the Kraken for only ground and 12 volt. And then the PWM signal is coming from the EBB42 toolhead board. That's how RatRig has you set it up when you're building. And that's how we have it now. So we flashed for digital PWM on those. And that's kind of what we're walking through right now, is just redoing all of that to make sure I'm not crazy. And then if it still can't work, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. Wife works today, clear conscious. I love it. Mine does not work. She's a stay-at-home mom, takes care of me, takes care of the kids, which is awesome. But yeah, we are gonna go and do things and stuff today. So we'll stream for probably another hour till right about 9 o'clock, 8:45, something like that, and then I'll call it good. We'll call the project done. I don't want to fight through firmware, so it'll be finishing up as much as we can today, and then doing a double check later on, kind of a revisit to show where we are, and we'll talk about some changes. There are other projects in the works. Next weekend is Rocky Mountain, so I'm sure I'll see a lot of you folks there. Really kind of focused on that and getting ready for that. So this will likely be the final stream before I leave on Thursday to go to Rocky Mountain. Sweet, so that worked. Going back to T1, we'll flash that one again just to make sure. About to head out to Tequila to town for nails. Jeremy, I didn't know you had nails. Make sure you get the American manicure. Yeah, Captain Kern, you going to Rocky Mountain? Will we see you there? I see 22 folks in the chat, so hopefully half of you are there. It'd be great to see you guys. You got nails. Toenails too, don't forget. Don't cheap out and give her half a set. If you're going to make her look good, get nails and toes. Pro tip. Captain Kern will be there. Make sure you come say hi to me, man. Like, everybody looks one way when they're streaming and on the internet and things like that, but then when you see them in person, they look different. Hot pink nails, 16 penny, 8 penny, all sorts of nails. You gotta get her those wicked nails, like the really pointy ones that stick out like 3 inches. I want to see Keela with those on Thursday. Yeah, Sean, happy I'll see you out there. Let's go get some food together and we'll go to that taco spot again. Yeah, so all of this is correct as far as what it should be. X in stop is where that is. Y in stop is where it should be. We are using a beacon with the orbiter 2.5, but it's an orbiter 2. Accelerometers, we'll use the tool headboards for now. Again, X in stops are the same for T1. Fans are the same for T1. Yep, if we go to advanced, there's really nothing different. It just allows you to assign where your motors are going to be. And this is kind of what we were talking about. So motor ones are X, are what they call the stepper dual carriage. That would be your other tool head. So that's essentially your Y, or what RatRig calls your left motor and right motor. If you're thinking in Voron terms, it'd be motor B, motor A. as you're looking at the front of the machine. B would be to the left, A is to the right. RatRig just uses left and right. You got all daughters? Yeah, so do I. I got all daughters. Bragging about his nail collection and lack of maker parts. We'll get to that. If you guys stick around for maybe another 5 minutes here, I'll show off what the next project's going to be. We'll go through some of the parts, and you guys can tell me ahead of time so we don't end up like Jeremy without the right stuff. We're going to start that next project, that next build after Rocky Mountain. Thanks for the reminder, Happy. Cool. So, and then your Y steppers, you have basically your hybrid. Those are the additional Y steppers that allow you to move your Y carriage. That's the most heaviest item that you're moving around. And so RatRig does a hybrid setup where you add 2 additional motors to assist. And that's your Y1 and your Y. Rough stream? Yeah, so same, Jeremy. This is a pretty rough stream right now. It was about 5:30 yesterday. I came out here to kind of finish up and test some things to see if it was going to move and whatnot. And that's when we started having issues. I did literally nothing except turn the printer off, turn it back on, and it wouldn't work. So still fighting through what that looks like. Yeah, so happy. Jeremy and Zombie and I are going to have tequila shots at Zombie's booth. So spread the word. Go over to Zombie's booth, visit with him, or even come over to the Lee Marie booth, and we'll have tequila out there doing shots. Those motors are correct for where they're supposed to be. And then Boothie, this answers your question a little bit. So stepper Z is on slot 5, Z1 is on 6. It doesn't give me any option to change things here. And then Z2 is over here on motor 7. T1, that's on the tool head board. We've got that tuned to what it should be. And then same over here for T1. So T0, T1 are integrated. So hopefully that answers all the questions about the setup. And then again, it gives you the sanity check, which I really love. The setup on this, on its face is really, really good. There's no way to necessarily easily change the back end side of it. So if I need to go in and tweak a pin, if I decide that I got it wrong and I need sort of a different setup, I'm not really able to do that easily. So what I'm checking out, if you're sharing your screen in a very small window, I am? Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. I'm on the wrong page. Thanks, Steve. Nobody said anything. I forgot to change the scene. Yeah, this is where we are. I apologize. Thanks for the heads up. But this is what we're looking at. So these are all what it should be. No changes here. Right? So we just went through the setup. We flashed everything. Things are configured the way. We were just mesmerized by them. Those tubes are pretty, I'll tell you. I would love to be able to use them right now and do a first print. It's a very clean build. I'm super ecstatic about it. I don't know if you've ever built a V-Core, Steve. I don't think so. I watch your channel pretty regularly. I don't think you've built one, but you need to. It's pretty nice. I know you just finished up the Tic Tac with Modbot, but this is a completely different beast. Started a fake Fabrico website selling printer parts. What? That's wild. Scammers be scamming. Okay, so we just redid everything as the configurator asks us to do. Now we're getting the MCU RPI something. We'll just do a quick reset on that one, see if that works. But yeah, I agree, Captain Kern. That is pretty messed up. I'd be on the lookout for anything like that. That's a pretty easy scam to look out for. If it's not a .com, beware. So usually it'll be like a shortened URL. That'll get you sometimes. Or it'll have like a .xyz. That'll happen. Definitely make sure you're going to the right place and logging in with the correct information and beware where you put your credit card information. Sweet. So I believe I'm going to have to verify the, all this stuff again. Okay, so those look correct. Nothing changed in the printer config at all. Even have the beacon stuff. So nothing changed as far as I can tell. Let's see if I can home X. Nope. Same thing. Don't really know the difference there. I'll tell you what, I want to try something crazy. And this will be the last go, and then we'll switch over and look at what the next project's going to be, because this firmware issue is going to probably be an issue that takes hours, and that doesn't make for good TV watching. So I'm going to skip all this. It's nothing to do with our tool head board or our main board or the Pi. I'm thinking it has to do with this pin here. So if this is a digital pin and it's not really working for us, I think I want to try this and see if that changes anything. Should not break anything because those pins are unpopulated and I have unplugged the two fans. But I wonder if that has something to do with it. So we'll do that. Flip that over. Now our tool board is not detected. That's weird. Same on that one. That's really weird. All right, I don't like that. I don't want to push that forward. Let's go back up here. Control board is a Kraken, yes. Skip that. T0 is that. Next. Do we need to flash this again? Why is it not connected? I don't want to do that. It should be flashed. So we should be able to skip those. I mean, we could try this one. That goes to the toolhead board. So we'll try that pin. It's not going to work. The pin on the toolhead board is only the signal pin. There is no voltage pin there. So it shouldn't put out any trons to anything. Okay, so now they're detected. So it's got to be something to do with the selection you choose. That is different. Okay. So, and you can see there are pending changes here for RatOS. So we'll confirm and save that one and then see what happens. Hey, Kegel. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. MCU, I've seen that before. Usually you just restart and it'll press through. Captain Kern is starting an Ender Duo Max. Is that like a CR10 with dual Y? Like, what is an Ender Duo Max? All right, moment of truth. Let's see if this moves. No. So we're getting the same error. So it cannot be those fan pins. I am all out of ideas, folks. Taking two Ender Max Neos and building a Core XY. That sounds like a cool project. I usually sort of miss your stream. I'll be honest. I catch it every once in a while. Your hours kind of conflict with what I work, so I'm not always able to catch. But if you're building a Core XY out of two Ender Maxes, I think I want to check that out. So this is where we're going to switch streams and go a little bit different direction. I got about 45 minutes before the wife and I got to go do things. So I'm going to show you the next project. That way we get ahead on that one. And I'll deal with some of this firmware stuff on the side. So stay tuned for a follow-up. We'll come back and I'll show you this thing printing and whatnot. Maybe we'll come back and do a feature, answer some questions, and just have like a chat and chill while this thing prints in the background. Sound good? But for now, I'm going to turn this off. We'll shut that guy down. Get rid of that and that and that. Close that, and I'll show you what we're going to work on. So I'm going to bring you back to this guy here. We'll bring out the next project. It's going to be the inertia cube. So if you've been watching the Lee Marie stream, Jeremy and Keela just started last week on, actually no, I think it was Tuesday. You guys started Tuesday building the inertia cube. And for this one, oh, that's way zoomed in. Let's zoom you guys out a little bit. It may be too close and not able to. Yeah. So this is kind of the box here. It's huge. It's not going to get it completely in frame, but this is the project. So what you're seeing is just kind of self-sourced. What came in the project was one frame. You got a bed, so we got the bed kit. We got Z motors, so we got Z motors kind of down this way, and then we got actual like X and Y motors. These are 2805s, S35s, so they'll be long shafts so that we can run the shear bearings on it. That'll allow us to run a little bit higher belt tension and things like that. Everything else that you see sitting around here loose are all parts that I'm considering. Okay, so we'll bring it out and highlight some of this stuff one by one, and I'll show you the direction that I want to go. One thing I need help with is figuring out what board to use. I have a few options. So we've got this one from Mello. So let's move this down just a touch. There we go. We've got this one from Mello. It is a Pro X10 board. So that's the label, the Pro X10 board. It works sort of like a Manta. Hey Nick, good morning. Colors are going to be nice. Dude, I haven't showed you these colors yet. 1 second, I'll be right back. I'll show you what I'm working with. I've got this. This is what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this Sparta Sparkle Sky Blue. Yeah, Sparkle Sky Blue from Sparta. This is probably very close to Ambrosia. I'm not exactly sure the color that the Ambrosia would be, but before Ambrosia was a thing, Sparta 3D had glitter ABS, and that's where I got a lot of mine from. So this is just using up stock instead of spending more. But these are the feet for the printer. 4 of these took 12 hours to make. So be prepared to print long term. One thing I did not like, and this is maybe some feedback for the team, is in here, the way this prints is flat on the bed like so, against my palm, like that. These are unsupported in here. And so you have to use tree support or something to get in there. Not ideal for printing. And so maybe just eliminate that. I know that it's there to pass wires through and things like that. However, it's probably best just to eliminate for ease of printing. You would not need support if you did it that way. And then in here, maybe if your printer is not tuned well, you could get some filament drippage. So make sure that your bridging is on point if you're going to deal with that. But that's what the feet look like. And then the other color we're going to use is Sparta. Oh man, I forget the name of this one. Sparkle Purple or something like that. But there's a lot of glitter in that one as well. This is the same filament I used on my green V2 that I built probably 2.5 years ago. So those two together, that's going to be the color theme. And then there are going to be pops of orange in there. You don't think you had issues? Doesn't that just bridge? No, it doesn't just bridge. So if it prints this way on the bed, right? So imagine this is the bed. That's a 90-degree angle right there. That's not going to just print. If it does print, it's going to be ugly. So keep that in mind. Hey, Keela. Yeah, so that's the print there. One thing I didn't like is my bed is starting to flake black PEI. And so it pulled some of that off onto the part, and I don't like that. Not enough to make me trash it, but it was not perfect. This is going to be, thank you, Rushmere. This is going to be the inertia cube. It's going to be this guy. Sorry, I got to get you a photo. Hold on. I'll let you look at the RatRig while I find this thing. See how much filament it is? Yeah, it's a lot of filament. It's about, so a normal Voron would take you, what, 2.5 spools of filament, 2 for primary, and then some accessory color would be your other one. This one is probably 3 full spools, so probably 2 full spools of your primary, and then whatever you needed for your secondary color, probably most of that spool as well. Hey Petty, good morning. Yeah, it's cool if you're looking, Petty, it's fine. Just thanks for being here and tuning in. Same color as OGM? Yeah, kind of. The same color as Steph. Kind of by accident, I'm using pops of orange in mine. I think Steph does all of his printers basically the same color. Where are we at? So I'm trying to find this photo and it's buried in things and stuff. So I'll show it this way. And just get it set up here. Not sure why that's that way, so let's do this and see about that. No, it's not working. Just getting a big black spot. Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna try to show it, but it's not showing for some reason. Anyway, it's called the Inertia Cube Rushmere, and it's a beta project that is kind of closed source beta, and so it's not exactly out there. You got to be invited in and things like that. Let's see. Still trying to show you this photo here, but come on. Man, where is it at? Having all kind of stream problems this morning. This is great. There we go. That's it there. So if I do, I'll turn that background off. There you go. That's what we're building. So that's the theme I'm going with. That's the color scheme. And yeah, That's what it's going to look like. So we have a couple of options on how we're going to build this. It's sort of customizable, just like your Voron printer would be. So if you're in the beta, it's probably, if you're looking at the CAD, there's no electronics in it. You have motors, you have a tool head, and you have an EBB 36 or a Nighthawk. And that's kind of how it's set up. The electronics are completely up to you. Use the power supply you want, use the main board you want. You can use a Manta with a onboard mounted CB22 or CM4, or you can use a standalone Pi. I'm choosing to go this direction. I think this is the Pro X10 or something like that. Let's see what the Pro X10 V1. That's what it is. That's what it looks like. It uses these chip drivers, and I know that Boothie had some problems with this. If you're still around, mine are not wiggly like his was on his board, so maybe he had like an out of tolerance one, but mine are pretty safe where they are, and they're just giant chips, so you could swap these out with whatever you want. These happen to have LED on them, which is completely overkill. They are 2160s. And they can only kind of go in one way, so the LEDs are supposed to indicate the temperature of the chip. So if things are getting too hot or warm, this should glow in that regard. It could take up to 60 volt on all of the motors, so that's a thing. And there are looks like 5 hot end ports here, or heater ports. This is the back of the board if you're looking for a schematic. That's what it looks like. Wiggle after a while, okay at first. That's good to know. I don't plan to access the board too much. And then right now I have a CB2 on here, just kind of hanging out. So I don't have a CM4. I do have a couple of CB1s and a couple of CB2s. So we're just going to put that on there and see how that works out. I have coolers and things that I can add to it. So a lot of capability built into this one on its face. Whether or not the chip drivers work out remains to be seen. So that is option A. I've had this board for a while and kind of need to use it. So I've got 2 of them actually. You got 2209s. Yeah, I've got some of those as well. These are 5160s, I believe. They might be 2209s. I gotta go back and look. So that's an option. The other one is sort of a custom board. This one's from Corvus. He's got a Discord channel that you can look at. I forget the name. It's a Corvusg, Corvusg. You can find the GitHub project for this one. So this is more of a custom board as well. This one uses 2160s all the way through. So 4 drivers there could run our quad XY gantry. And these 2 here are replaceable. So if you wanted to run 2209s for motor 3 and 4, you could do that. Yeah, look at them caps. 63 volt, 390 microfarad caps. But yeah, that's for the high voltage there. And that could take up to 48 volt on all 4 drivers. And then you still have other drivers here on this side that are more normal. Those look to be 2209s on this side here. I'll give you a close-up shot there. 2209s on that side. These up here are the 2160s. So that's super nice. It's a lot smaller, so we will have to add on a Raspberry Pi to be able to use this board. Just XH. Here they are. These are different. These look to be a little bit larger, and they got a snap. I mean, I guess they are XH, yeah. I mean, if you look at the Manta M8P, it uses the same for the motors. It's not different. The only thing I've seen different on the Kraken, which is built for high power, is they use a much larger crimp connection for your motor drivers. So you have to cut, strip, and crimp every motor wire that you would normally have to be able to plug into the Kraken. Every other board I've seen that runs 48 volt or is 48 volt capable has the same JST. But that's a thing that I need to use. I've got one of these, so might as well. There's even a port here, an 8-pin Molex connector for your tool head board. So if you wanted to run that via CAN, or if you wanted, you know, actual wires, you've got 2 for a thermistor, 2 for your heater cartridge, 2 for your hot end fan, 2 for your part cooling fan, and you could just plug that in with a single connection. So that's pretty cool. A bunch of different end stops and fans and things like that. You've got voltage selection for your different fans. And then on your heaters, you have Molex 2-pin connections for your heaters. So a pretty cool board. That is an option. And then, of course, I've got a Manta that we could use. I've got an Octopus, I think we could use. So, but I'm kind of stuck between one of these two. So I'll put that out to you guys. What do you think? Should we use the Mellow board? That's kind of an all-in-one package, or should we use this smaller board that we'd have to add on a Raspberry Pi? Some of the other stuff, obviously you need a bunch of hardware. I think I probably have a lot of that hardware just around. I built quite a few Vorons, and there's always extra hardware with that. Custom board, that's 1 vote. Boothie says custom board, there's 2. Okay, I mean, it would be different. So we had to get some brackets designed up. Kegel says custom board, I love it. So no matter which one we choose, we're going to need 48 volt. That's what this does, is it takes your 24 volt power supply, converts it from 24 volt up to 48 or 60 volt. You have a choice, and you can run your motors that way. I'm going to choose 48. That's good enough for everything. Happy says go with the Corbin. All right. So I think that's what we'll do. This one, it has a bracket that someone remixed. So they took my bracket that I was using for the Physis Tech EMS and made a DIN mounted bracket. So that's printed, that's ready to go. All we got to do is install that one. So that'll be a thing. We're going to use, for a hot end, there are a few options. You can use a Goliath, you can use a Rapido, or you can use this, which is a Dragon Ace. So typical Dragon heatsink, but it's got ceramic heaters on it like your Rapido 2 and your Bamboo Lab. So it's got that plate heater. I don't remember the wattage on this thing, but that's a pretty substantial size. And then on this side, you've got your typical cartridge thermistor, which makes it a lot easier than having that small glass bead. It is a high flow heatsink, and that is ceramic standoffs in there to get around patents. And then you have your standard Dragon mounting pattern up top. The red indicates that it's a PT1000, so that'll give you the better of the temperature readings. So we'll use that. Also, I've got one of these. This is your melt zone extender, but it's got the CHT geometry in there, so you get even higher flow. It comes with a, I don't know if you can see that. It comes with the diamond tip, or the zirconium tip, I'll say it that way. And this is also a CHT, so you're kind of getting double a splitting. So not only in the melt zone extender, but in here. And we'll need to install that. So we'll get stupid high flow for no reason, other than we have the parts and we need to use them. I believe this goes that way. Yeah, cool. So that's the hot end we're going to use. I do have a Rapido. I do not have a Goliath. So if we did need to change for any reason and do something else, we could do that. But that's sort of the highlights. Good looking hot end. Triangle Labs, always solid. I agree. But we do have a couple of Rapidos. So we have a Rapido 2 we could use. We've got a Rapido Ace we could use, which is sort of like what we just looked at. This one has the plate heaters though, which is what makes it different than other Rapidos. So on here, if you pull the heat shield off of this, that's on there good. You'll see it's got the plate heaters like the bamboo style plate heaters, and that's what the difference is between the Ace and the normal Rapido. And also, you get the melt zone extender in here with the CHT geometry. So those are other options. I think I'm gonna go with the Dragon though. I have not used that yet. And then if we really wanted to be old school, we could use just the standard Rapido, or we could go with a semi-used, well-loved Mosquito. That's what we're looking at for electronics, folks. Just wait till we have 300 millimeter per second flow rates. Yeah. For two headboard, we have a couple of options there as well. Let me grab that for you. We have... Where'd it go? Alright. So we have completely supported Nighthawk 36. So this is the new batch of Nighthawk boards, the ones that don't get too hot. That's why I changed the label here. So these ones should not have problems in a heated chamber. Not that I ever really heat my chamber too hot, but if you've seen a Nighthawk board, you know what they look like. Runs on USB, so a lot easier to set up, easier to maintain, but you do need a rated USB cable that is not crap. So one comes in the box. There's a small breakout board that you have to install as well. So again, it takes up a little more room in the electronics bay if you're going to use a Nighthawk, but that is an option. I've also got this thing. So this is an SHT V3 Plus from Mellow, and this one is, it comes with sort of like a beacon. So this is their eddy sensor, sort of shaped like a beacon, uses the ribbon cable, and then goes up to the tool head board here. Goes up to the tool head board here, and it has two small receptacles there that can accept your ribbon cable. There's one for your beacon or your eddy probe near my finger, and the one inset is for I2C. Runs on CAN, runs on USB if you want to do it that way as well. Can take the PT1000. It runs the RP2040 chip. So you can see that on there. And then for your stepper, it's a typical 2209. Lots of things and stuff that I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer, but seems to have settings for thermistors and hot ends that you want to use, and different stuff like that. This one is CAN capable, so you get the CAN wire in here. Saves space in the electronics bay because now you don't have to have that breakout board like you would need for the Nighthawk. But the connection at the toolhead board is the same. So still one thick solid cable back to the electronics bay. So those are our next options. And again, we'll put it out to the chat. Should we use Nighthawk 36, tried, true, proven, USB capable, easy to set up Nighthawk 36, or do we go Eddy? Mellow Eddy. We could still do, if you guys wanted, let's find it. We could still go normal EBB 36. Putting one of those on a Cletus today. Dope. Nighthawk or the other one? The shit V3. We can still do EBB 36, and then I've got a spare 42 as well if we want to do that. So we have a slew of options. Petty says we should do the Eddie. Happy says we should do the shit V3. What I don't know is if, like, this is the winner. This board was the winner for what we're going to use for our main board. What I don't know is if there's a CAN port on here. I do not believe there is, which means we would need to use a U2C. And I'm sure I've got one of those somewhere. Yeah, we need a U2C or some sort of Pi hat to do that. I've got one around in places somewhere. Yeah, here we go. So we could use a CAN hat on the Pi and do it that way. Get a Creality EBB. Oh, man. Is the Mellow USB? The Mellow is, I want to say CAN. Yeah, so the selling point for this one is it can run Clipper, it can do rep firmware, both. And so depending on what you're trying to do, it'll work. So if we wanted to use a Duet, I've got a couple of old Duets. This board would work with the Duet board. So right now I'm seeing the shit V3 is the winner. And so we'll plan for that and get rid of all these. Which means we're going to need an actual Pi. I've had this one laying around with this cooling fan on. You can tell it's dusty, but we'll employ this guy with the cooling fan on there like that. If you're not radiating, if you're not air cooling with a radiator your Pi's, probably not doing it right. But this is a Pi 4 Model B. We'll need the Pi hat, so we'll have to put that on there. What else can we throw onto this thing? How about, let's see. How about these? Yeah, let's throw some high-powered fans on it. Here we go. We've got these vendor fans, these performance 10,000 RPM 4010 fans. Let's throw those on there. Water cool that Pi, don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. I just don't have any water cooling stuff. Yeah, this used to be when I was running Octoprint before Clipper became really huge. I was using Octoprint on this. And this was in a sort of like a little case. It was just kind of on my desk. And it was connected to 3 printers. And that's what I use that one for. But this looks to be our configuration. We'll lay it all out so that I can screenshot this and keep it for later. But that's what we're gonna do, folks. With these colors. That is the next build. Highlights of the build, though, are going to be that it's a 30-30 frame. I don't know what we're doing here. Go away for a week and just completely out of practice hitting the wrong buttons. But the highlights of the build is it's kind of Trident style. It's got a 30-30 frame, so pretty beefy, pretty heavy, pretty stout. You're going to have 2 X and 2 Y motors, so quad XY, or all-wheel drive if you're familiar with that term. High flow. The Y-axis uses linear guides and linear rods, not Z-rails. So you're getting longevity out of the parts without a lot of maintenance on the Y. And then your X uses the typical 2020 extrusion with linear rail. That linear rail, I have a set in the kit. I'm considering just getting like a West 3D Berserker rail, only for the X. I don't know that they have them in stock in the size that I need. That's the problem. So if not, it'll be something that we could swap out later. Linear rails aren't too difficult to change. What else? What else? Completely customizable, so electronics are what we want to have them be, and we just kind of chose that as a team here on stream today. So we're going to use the custom tool, the custom main board with the Shit V3, the Dragon high flow or ultra high flow, 48 volt, and a full size Pi 4. That's the build. Okay. Well, we're getting up close to the time that I have to stream today, so we'll start wrapping it up. Anybody have questions about the rest of the stream at all? Nothing? Okay. Well, nothing seen, nothing heard. I'm going to be at Remurf starting on Thursday. So the next 3 days are trying to wrap up a couple of projects here that I'm taking with me, printing out the rest of these inertia build parts, and then packing for the trip itself. I'm flying, so can't take a printer or anything like I did last year, but I will have a few stickers. If you see me, ask for a sticker. Don't tell anybody. They have to be watching the stream, right? That's the only way we're going to know. If you ask me for a sticker, I know you watched the stream. So I have some stickers with me and give those away. I did not make maker chips. Don't ask me for those. But please come say hi. Please come chat. I would love to meet you all in person. And Thursday, I'll be out there. I'll be at the event on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day from open to close. So please come out and say hi. Flying back on Monday. So next stream will not be until at the earliest on Wednesday. And I believe we're going to start the inertia cube build on either Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll do our typical Sunday to get back on schedule. I've got the next 2 weeks off from work, so I hope to make significant progress in that time. But that's the next build. Thank you all for helping me choose the parts. This will be sort of an evolution as we go. There may be other things that we get to select and choose as we go along the build. So please, if you got ideas, let me know. And then again, if you got ideas about this damn RatRig over here and how to fix that, just shoot me a message. All right? You guys go enjoy your Mother's Day. Call your moms. Talk to your spouses if you got one of those. Tell them thank them for what they do and that you appreciate them, okay? Y'all enjoy the day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Have a good week. See you all again at Murph. Bye.